Good evening, you sick, twisted weather freaks and snowstorm perverts all across the Northeast U.S. Time for another edition of the Snowstorm Podcast. It's Monday evening, 9:15 p.m. Watching the news, 0Z NAM come in. And time to talk about snowstorms. We got two of them coming up. Two of them. And a lot to talk about here, so I guess we ought to get right to it. Obviously, earlier today on the Facebook page, I went for the snow dog for eastern Pennsylvania, New Jersey, New York City, and New England. This is the northern snow dog. There you go. Very cute animal running through the snow there. So nice. And here, my next slide, I'm going to present the actual first call map. So we'll spend a minute on it here and talk about this. This is the first call map. I will post it separately, of course, on the Facebook page and on the Twitter page. But lots to talk about in this map here. So this is rather similar. Again, this is a classic Miller B scenario where the first low dies and it transfers its energy over here, and we'll show you why that's going to happen. And that definitely, so this is definitely a what we call a Miller B scenario, a coastal secondary redevelopment. And as such, typically is the case, most of Washington, most of Virginia, Washington D.C., the Delmarva, all of this area usually gets screwed by Miller B systems, and that's exactly what's going to happen. You're not going to get any snow out of this for most of that event. So that's the first piece. Now the second piece is that the atmosphere here is colder. So that's the good news. Remember the one on Friday, we had several days with temperatures in the 50s and 60s. We don't have that now. Temperatures are actually either normal or below normal yesterday, today, and again tomorrow over most of the northern mid-Atlantic in particular and into New England. So that's one thing. The dew point is lower, so that's another good thing working for us. This gradient here I have is very, very tight, as you can see. I don't think most of southeast New England, Cape Cod, is going to get significant snow here. I think they're going to be rain, and I'm not going for a lot of snow in Boston. I mean, 4 to 8 inches of snow here in Boston. That's okay. I've heard some people talk maybe 10 or 12. I can't do that. Remember, now this is just a first guess map here, right? This could change. Okay, there's going to be 2 more maps coming up. This is my first guess, issued at 60 hours before the event. So I can't go for 4 to 8 based on what I'm saying now, and I'll go to that for Boston. Now inland, I've got 8 to 12 in New York City, 4 to 8 in central Long Island and central southern New Jersey. And notice I have the 8 to 12 now all the way through Philadelphia into far northeastern Maryland. And the 4 to 8 inch band is now into Baltimore. Yes, I've got 4 to 8 in Baltimore. And actually, I've got the 2 to 4 inch band between Baltimore and Philly. I mean, between Baltimore and D.C., excuse me. Excuse me. Between Baltimore and D.C., you can see the 2 to 4 inch band there. And that may adjust a little bit depending on how things develop. Also, we have the usual decent snow here. Could be a little in areas in here in the mountains of eastern West Virginia where it could be higher than 4 inches, but let's go for that for the time being. Binghamton is right on the edge between the significant snow, and I have 8 to 12. Now in upstate New York, as you can see in this area, and then into the Poconos. Here's the other thing: is I have the 12 to 18 inch band, very aggressive here, well to the north and west of Boston, but western Massachusetts, Albany, very close to it, northwest Connecticut, just to the north of New York City, Poughkeepsie, Middletown, all these counties here in Lower Hudson Valley, northwest New Jersey, not far from DC, from New York City, excuse me, and then Allentown, very close to 12 to 18 inches. And yeah, I've got the 12 to 18 inch band into the Philadelphia suburbs. Now, I may be over aggressive with that, but I'll explain to you why I'm doing that in just a minute when we get to it. But I want to make sure you can understand this. Probably what I'm going to do is I'm going to take an enlargement of this whole thing and then post it, enlarge it on the website so you can see it in more detail. So probably what I'm going to do is after I post this map, I will take an enlargement of that and then so you can see it for the Northeast. Okay, so let's get to why I'm saying this here. All right, this here is the current European model and the upper maps. You can use any of them. They're all showing the same thing. And what's important here, obviously, is the huge blocking feature, which is here. And you can see that very nicely. This is the classic negative NAO, and now it's a western-based NAO. And having the NAO, the more west it is, the better it is for snowstorms. The more it's out by Iceland, east of Greenland, the worse it is for snowstorms. So we like western-based NAOs. And this is what we have here. So this is the first system here, the one that brought the light snow the other day, yesterday, into New York and New England. And this here's the next piece. And of course, this piece of energy here, it has two options. It can either do this, go up over the block, which is almost impossible according to the laws of conservation and momentum, or it goes underneath the block and undercuts it. And by undercutting it, it's forced to stay to the south. So it does not go up to the Great Lakes. That's out of the question. So those are the two options. You can either go up the feature this way. Oops, excuse me, I'm going to mark it out here. You can either go up over the block, as you can see here. Here's the block here. So we can either go over it or it can go underneath it. Those are the two options. Okay. So what happens is, this is now tonight, actually, and you can see what's happening. The block is still there. You can clearly see it. But this feature is now undercutting it. You can see that clearly undercutting it. It's not going to go over. That's not going to happen. So there it comes. And that's what sets up the storm. So hopefully you can see why having a massive block, a western-based NAO is so important for snowstorms and big ones. Not 2 or 3 inch snows. I'm talking about them. I'm talking about the big ones, okay? What we call the KU storms, the Coast and Uchalini snowstorms. That's what we're talking about, the big East Coast snowstorms. Okay, so now this is a Tuesday morning here in the upper left, and you can clearly see the feature right here. This is a big upper level low. It's got a couple contours around it. Big piece of energy here. And now, time we get to Wednesday morning, look at the tilt on this sucker. Negatively tilted right through in here, and of course, the low develops here. That's why it goes underneath it. Remember, here's the block still. So it has to go underneath it. And this is just so wonderful to see if you like East Coast snowstorms. Now, you can clearly see this is the NAM, the 18Z NAM. You can clearly see the main vorticity feature right in here. And you can see a closed 500 low developing here, 528. And look at the tilt on this baby. And if we go to the next slide, we'll see it even stronger. I don't know if I posted that next slide. Yes, I did. And you can see a severe negative tilt. But more importantly, the 500 low, which is up in Michigan, you see where it is up in here? Let me show you so you can see it again. There it is right in here. Now look what happens a few hours later. This is now by Wednesday evening. The 500 low has closed off here. You can see that. You can clearly see a separate 500 low is formed over Philadelphia, over New Jersey, and close to New York City, almost New York City. Now, there is another bigger 500 low here. That's true. You can see that. But there's one 500 low here and the separate piece here. Look at the tilt on this sucker. Severe negative tilt. So, yeah, this is really going to explode when it gets cranking. This is going to be a doozy. Okay, so now this is the 12Z NAM from this morning, and you can see low taking over. And notice we actually have a little bit of snow in DC and Baltimore here as the situation is taking over. So the light snow is going to fall on Tuesday night to Wednesday morning. I'm not really worried about that. This is talking about the coastal storm here. So, and then if we go to the next slide, this is we're going to loom in here a little bit, and you can see now this is 12Z. This was the Monday NAM, and this is valid for 3 o'clock in the afternoon on 2 o'clock in the afternoon on Wednesday. So this is 2 p.m. Wednesday. All right, and there's a Wednesday. Okay, now look where the low is. See how close that is? There's the rain snow line up very close to New York City and Long Island. Very close. The low is very close to the coast. There's another one here. That's not a great sign. But also take a look at Boston. The rain snow line is inland again. There's Providence, all rain at this point. There's Boston. So now in Philly's getting absolutely pounded. Baltimore still has moderate snow here. Allentown's getting crushed. Most of New Jersey, south, and this is all coming in towards just above New York City into Connecticut and the lower Hudson Valley. Poconos are getting slammed. So that's 2 p.m. on Wednesday. Now this is 22Z Wednesday, which is it's 5 o'clock in the afternoon. Now the low is still very close to the coast, and this is not ideal what you want to see for New York or for Long Island or for Boston. So this is a problem here. If this is right, that's going to be a problem for the big snow in New York City. Okay. Okay, they're 985 low. It's not as strong as what we saw last Friday on March 2nd. But there's the rain snow line. You can see it's clearly into New York City. Bridgeport's maybe rain or mixed. Groton, Connecticut, Providence is mixed. And Boston is all rain. This low is too close to the damn coast. You're getting this southeast wind, folks, this east wind. Now, Hudson Valley getting crushed. Lehigh Valley getting crushed. The suburbs of Philadelphia getting crushed. North Jersey getting crushed. Northwest Connecticut. Much of central and western Massachusetts. Southern Vermont. Southern New Hampshire. But not New York, Long Island, coastal Connecticut, much of Rhode Island, and Boston Metro and Cape Cod. They got problems. If this is right. That low's got to move away from the coast. It has to. Now, I'm not saying the NAM is right here, but that ain't gonna get that's not gonna get the job done, folks. It just isn't. Okay, so then we go on to this is 7 o'clock Wednesday evening. Now the low moving off the coast a little bit. See that? Now New York City has gone over to snow. Now the still have moderate snow or light snow in Philly. The really big stuff is up across the Poconos still, northeast Pennsylvania, northern New Jersey, the entire Hudson Valley, up into Albany. Albany getting pounded at this point. Actually, Albany started getting pounded here, but you can see it coming in. And then western Mass, Vermont, New Hampshire, interior, central Massachusetts. Boston is still rain. Providence is still rain. Rhode Island is still rain. Cape Cod is still rain. Eastern Connecticut is still rain. All of Long Island is still rain. So, you want to keep that in mind before you go hog wild with the snow mounts. All right. Now, and then of course you can see, this is a comparison. You can see these two maps here. You can see how the system finally begins to move off the coast. Finally. And if it does, that'll allow the change over New York. And sure enough, now this was the NAM snow maps. Now look at New York City here. Huge snow amounts across the river. 6 inches, then you go way up here, 8 inches, and then 14 inches in the Pennsylvania, New Jersey border. 20 inches in the Allentown area, if you can believe that. I do actually. And look at Baltimore. Look at Baltimore. Don't overlook this, folks. 9 inches in Baltimore. But not only like an inch or two in D.C. Yeah, that could be the case. Philadelphia, 6 inches. The suburbs, 10, 12 inches, easy. And then Jersey coast, zip. Long Island, zip. Look at Boston, under 2 inches of Boston. Providence, 2 inches. Very tight gradient here. Now, admittedly, a lot of this snow is still falling up in this area. So these snow maps up in here are not final because this only takes us into Wednesday evening. That was the 12Z run. But it does show you the problem with New York City. Now, if you look at the NAM, the 12Z NAM, which goes out to 84 hours, the 12-kilometer NAM on Monday afternoon, again, look where that low is. This is not great. Okay? This is 7 o'clock Wednesday evening. The low is just off the Jersey coast. New York City is rain. Coastal Connecticut's rain. Boston's rain. Providence rain. Cape Cod rain. Bugs Bunny first base. Bugs Bunny second base. Sorry, I got carried away there. Long Island rain. Now, Philly's getting really good snow here in Philly. Wilmington's getting snow. Atlantic City getting snow. And look at the snow coming right down in this direction. So western Mass is getting crushed. Albany's getting hammered. Binghamton's got good snow. Maybe the heaviest snow is just to the east of Binghamton here, but it's getting good snow. Kingston, New York, the Hudson Valley, Poughkeepsie, Middletown, Orange County, all getting slammed. Vermont, New Hampshire, yeah, baby. Now, here by 1 o'clock on Thursday morning, look at the low has moved. The low's moved off the coast, and New York City has gone over to snow. It's ended in Philly, finally, and eastern Pennsylvania. But Boston, yeah, it's still raining. Ugh, this is not a good setup for Boston. And East New England, from what I can see. And if we look at the snow map from the 12Z, 12-kilometer NAM, so this is Wednesday, this came out early Monday morning, and this takes us out to Thursday, March 8th, 7 a.m. And we can see where the heavy snow is. And the consistency here is pretty striking between the 12Z, let me show you this. That's the 12Z NAM, and this. Look where the big snow is. Both of these models are showing the heavy snow in the Poconos, Lehigh Valley, just to the north and west, maybe even northeast of Philly. So you can see it's like, I don't know if Lancaster is going to get 18 inches of snow, but yeah, there's definitely in this area here, there's definitely foot potential. Another foot potential up in here. Another potential for a foot of snow in here. But again, New York City, look at the drop off. As soon as you hit Newark, snow piles up. Philadelphia, Vineland, New Jersey, nothing. Baltimore, 5 inches in Baltimore again. DC, nothing. Northwest Connecticut, 13 inches. Groton, nothing. Okay, 6 in Worcester, nothing in Boston. Very tight gradient here because of that low being close to the coast like that. That low cannot be that close to the coast, folks. I'm just telling you from experience. All right, now let's take a look at the. This was the early morning 0Z Monday morning, early morning European model. Now the European model, you'll see, had the low out here, so it only had a little bit of snow in New York, but it was colder, and it had all the big snow from Maine into New Hampshire and down towards Rhode Island and eastern Massachusetts. And you can see, but the change was the afternoon European. So here's the change. Now, this was the 0Z. This was 0Z Monday. Okay? This is the 12Z Monday, I should say. So 12Z Monday. I should have wrote this down, but I want to get those up, Anyway. So you can see the difference. Here versus here. This is closer to the coast. This is telling me the NAM idea of the low being closer to the coast is probably correct. Big shift in the European between that two. Big shift. Okay, so let me clear this out. So let's go on to the next slide, and we can see here, because of that, the European came out with this solution. It actually has 2 inches in Baltimore, as you can see, and then it's got 7 in Philadelphia, and then up 8, 9 inches, 7 inches in New York City, 9 inches in northern New Jersey. That seems very reasonable. And then you've got your big snows up just north and west of Boston, Worcester, New Hampshire, southern Maine, central Maine. All very reasonable. Not that much in Albany, though. Notice here that the snow line on the European is cut off very sharply. Binghamton only gets 2 inches. So if that's right, all this is going to be, I'm going to have too much snow in all of here if this is correct. But, you got to make a draw line somewhere. But look at the central Pennsylvania line. Very clear here. I just happen to think the line's going to be like this, not this over here, but I could be wrong. Also, it's got a lot of snow for Long Island, which I don't understand at all. If that low is that close to the coast, Long Island's not getting 12 inches. That's not going to happen. So, and if you go beyond this, now this here was this is the GFS, the 12Z GFS. Again, this is from midday on Monday. You can see 12Z Monday right here. And there's the low right on the coast. Ugh. It's actually raining in Philly and then up towards New York City, close to there. Now, this is Wednesday morning at valid 7 a.m. Okay, that's fine. What happens after that? Now, here the low is getting close to the coast, but now, because it's pulled away a little bit, Philadelphia is getting slammed with the snow on the north winds. See the wraparound here? This is exactly what we saw on March 2nd, last Friday. Now, interior Hudson Valley getting hit, northwest Connecticut getting hit, northern New Jersey getting hit, wrapping around this direction. But New York City is still mixed. And then finally, lows off the coast here. New York City has gone over, but it may be dry slotting at this point. Again, Boston is all rain. Providence is all rain. Eastern Connecticut's all rain. Cape Cod. Same thing here. Look at the rain. Low is too close to the coast and too far north, according to this data, to forecast a big snow for Boston or Providence, or eastern Massachusetts or eastern Connecticut, from what I can see. And sure enough, here's the GFS snow map. And not surprisingly, look again, the snow wraps into Philadelphia, almost down to Baltimore, like that. In like that direction. That's a thing all the models are showing. Lehigh Valley. So forecasters should not be surprised if there's much heavier snow just to the north and west of Philadelphia with this storm. Do not be surprised. North Jersey getting crushed. Hudson Valley getting crushed. Middletown, Poughkeepsie, maybe 10 inches, maybe 12 inches on this. Western Connecticut, western Massachusetts, up towards Albany, 15 inches of snow on this. Yeah, that seems reasonable. And then there you go up into southern Vermont, New Hampshire. Boston, nothing. Eastern Connecticut, nothing. Most of Long Island, nothing. Southern New Jersey, zippo. Very, very tight snow gradient here. Unbelievable. And this is the 18Z NAM. Now, here we can see more. Look, I enlarged this so you can see in more detail. Look at the snow wrapping around here. Right in here. In D.C. 10 a.m. Wednesday, it's got moderate snow in D.C. and Baltimore is getting slammed for several hours up towards Philadelphia and then down here. So that's interesting. That's very interesting. Look at the snow coming in this direction, getting crushed. And we'll see why in a second. And this is noon on Wednesday. Now the snow has ended in DC, so in DC might get an inch or two. It's not out of the question. But Baltimore's still getting crushed. Look at the snow gradient just west of Baltimore. This is saying if you're in Columbia, in Howard County, your snow's over. But Baltimore is getting heavy snow. That's an amazing gradient. Amazing gradient. Rain in South Jersey. Now we got all snow in New York City here on noon on Wednesday. Allentown's getting crushed. The Pocono's getting crushed. Northern New Jersey's getting crushed. So as you go beyond this and clear this out here, what's going on here? Well, this explains the forcing. Now this is the 18Z NAM, but the 12Z was showing the same thing. Okay, so here's the 0 line. So here's our 850 line. So this is where it's all rain or snow. Let me get my marker up here so you can see it. Okay, this is the 0 line right here. So everything in this direction is all rain. But the purple stuff is vertical velocities, photogenetic forcing. This is where the precipit's coming down buckets. The atmosphere is really lifting and it's really coming down here. So you can see the heavy of photogenetic forcing over Philadelphia and northeastern Maryland. Really coming down here, okay? So that's at noon on Wednesday. And if this is a different one, this is from Storm Vista. And again, this is 9 a.m. Wednesday morning. And look in DC here, it's still showing really good forcing right over DC. See that? And far northeast Virginia. So in other words, if you're in Manassas, you may not be seeing anything. But DC is. Arlington is. That's how close this is to here. And then up towards Baltimore, you can see the wraparound right up in here, really coming down. Tremendous vertical velocities, tremendous motion here. And then if we clear that out, oops, let me clear it out here. We can see continuing. This is now 2 o'clock in the afternoon. It's just ending in Baltimore. So Baltimore could see several hours of moderate to heavy snow. Really coming down to Philly, Allentown. You can see that New York City is all snow here. So very impressive. And then if we can look out beyond this, this is, let me clear this out here so you can see it. This is the vertical velocities for 3 o'clock on, is that 3 o'clock? Excuse me, 2 o'clock in the afternoon. Look at this stuff coming down here. Look at the photogenetic forcing right in this area. Wow, Philly is getting crushed. The Lehigh Valley just slammed. And then also moving into another one into New York City. Really, very impressive. And then finally, this is 7 o'clock, 6 o'clock on Wednesday evening, and it's just now the best photogenetic forcing is now moved out of Philadelphia and it's over northern Jersey and New York City and the Hudson Valley, really getting pounded at this point. All right, let's talk briefly about March 12th or 13th. This might be a snow dog for folks in Virginia, Maryland, Delaware, West Virginia. This was the 0Z Wednesday morning. European huge snowstorm, as you can see, very scary looking. This was 0Z on Monday, and this was the 6Z GFS. All right, you can see huge snows in northwest Virginia, the Shenandoah Valley, up into western central Maryland. Same thing here and here. Even has 7 inches in Richmond, if you can believe that, and a foot in Charlottesville. But really big snows from DC, Hagerstown. Notice most of it south of the Pennsylvania Turnpike. Now the 6Z GFS had a little more snow further north, but it's the same general idea. This is the afternoon update. Much different, much more reasonable. This is more typical of a March snowstorm in the area. So there's that. Now, what's actually happening? Well, the models are taking it off the coast. So naturally, the people who follow me up in the Northeast are saying, oh, it's out to sea. Well, no, it's not out to sea. It's out to sea for you. It's not out to sea for other people. Yes, there are other people who want to know about snow and winter storms in outside of New York City, Philadelphia, Boston, and New England. Trust me on this one. So there's the low. You can see it heading off the coast. Pretty good snow here for central and eastern Virginia, assuming it's cold enough, which I think it will be. And if we look at the ensemble mean, this is the European, and you can see that it takes, this is a great track for snowstorm. If this was February or January, I'd be honking like a bear. You can see the low here, well, the big cluster acts, and it goes off the Hatteras coast. Classic central Virginia, northern Virginia, western Virginia, Maryland snowstorm. Maybe even southern New Jersey. And interestingly enough, the GFS ensemble has the same sort of thing, taking it over Hatteras and off the coast. Good lower mid-Atlantic track. And you can see if we go beyond that, the European ensemble here takes us off the coast. You can see it's going in this direction. It's not coming up the coast. It doesn't do that. It goes in this direction. And this one also goes in this direction. Nice classic track for this area. For this area. Good snowstorm track. We'll see if it actually happens. Anyway, This has been a long presentation. Thank you for your patience. This is meteorologist DT from weatherist.com. I'll talk to you soon.